Hello, this is Evan Rogers coming at you with an exciting video about verbs. The first video about verbs that will educate you good. Here we go, 1/3 of Japanese grammar. Verbs number 1, similarities and differences with Englishes, verbs, I guess is what I was going to say. Verbs in Japanese are very similar to verbs in English. This is totally true. Verbs are verbs almost no matter what language you're in. They both tell that an action takes place, /took, or /is taking place. This is probably insanely easy for many of you out there, but you know it's not something worth brushing off. We need to talk about what the heck a verb is. I mean, it's very difficult to define a verb because every single sentence in English uses a verb, and minus the occasional like blurting out of a whoa or something like that. That's not really a sentence. A verb is, and there I just used a verb, when you're telling that an action, I just use another verb, telling, when you imply/inform someone that an action took place. You read a book. Well, there's a book. What's the connection between those two things? Is it that you are a book? No. Is it that you eat a book? No. Is it that you drink a book? No. The action that took place was reading. You read books. So you see how that's an action. You is a thing. A book is a thing. Those are called nouns. I hope you already knew that, but if you don't, it's worth repeating. Or if you don't, it's worth informing you. Very worth informing you. Anyway, and the verb, the action that's taking place between those two things is read. Many things are verbs. Is, drink, lots of different things. It will take too long to list them all. An important point is that verbs don't change based on plurality like they do in English. Japanese verbs don't change based on plurality like they do in English. That's worth mentioning. In English, a dog eats. However, 4 dogs eat. A very annoying thing that English does that many Japanese students have trouble with. There are more time-related verb conjugations in English than there are in Japanese. However, that doesn't change the fact there's a crap ton of verb conjugations in Japanese. In English, we have things like I eat, I will eat, I did eat, or also I ate. I will be eating, I will have been eating, I will have been eating. I think I just said that one. He has been eating, which is I think the same thing. We have, I think it's upwards of 16 verb conjugations based on time in English. I eat, I will eat, I ate, I am eating, I will be eating, I was eating, I had been eating, I have been eating, I will have been eating, things like that. It goes on and on and on and on and on. Major types of verbs, like I just got done saying. There's lots of verb conjugations in Japanese. They just aren't all time related. In fact, there's only 1, 2, 3, maybe 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 time-related conjugation verbs that I can think of off the top of my head. A huge number of Japanese grammar points are based off of the verb conjugations. We're talking a huge number of Japanese grammar points. Like when you go into a textbook, a whole crap lot of what you're going to be reading is how to conjugate verbs. You're going to be saying, and we're going to get that. Just to give you an idea, these are all different verb conjugations that you'll need to learn eventually if you want to be fluent in Japanese. The plain past tense, the polite past tense, the humble form, the plain present tense, polite negative past tense, honorific forms, the te form, the plain passive, the command form, the blunt command form, the stem, the root, the present continuous, the causative, the passive causative. The te form mixes with verbs of giving. So that's te ageru, te moraeru, or te morao, and te kureru. And the want to form, and this could go on for days. The tardy form wasn't even mentioned there. But let's not waste more time on this. Okay, so verbs. There's essentially 2 major categories that you need to immediately be aware of. There's many ways to categorize verbs, but for today, the most important distinction is the plain form and the polite form. When you want to be polite with somebody, we use the mas. Whenever you see a verb that ends in mas, the person who spoke is being at least somewhat polite with the person that's listening. Some textbooks call it the distal style because the speaker is quote unquote putting an emotional distance between him/her and the listener. The speaker is putting a distance between him/her and the listener. It's interesting that we have to use a pronoun there in English. Then you have the plain form. It's also called the casual form. It's also called the dictionary form. It's also called the oo form. Anyway, there's a bajillion different names for it. It's annoying. Anyway, all of these verbs will end in either an oo, a ku, a su, or a tzu, or a nu, or a mu, or a ru. And if you find a verb that isn't ending in one of these, it's that it's conjugated. The end of story. If you see a verb that ends in mas, or that does not end in mas, or it doesn't end in oo, it doesn't end in ku, it doesn't end in zu, it doesn't end in an oo sound, it is being conjugated. I found a verb that ends in eh. Yeah, that's command form. You conjugated the stem to make it a command. Most likely. I can't be sure about that, but most likely. As you might have noticed, verbs pretty much always end in the oo sound, like I just got done saying. Identify the verb. This is an easy activity, but one that should be done no matter what if you're learning a language. So we have this kawaii inu ga imasu. Kawaii means cute, inu means dog, imasu means to exist for animate objects or volitional objects. So think back about what I told you about about what a verb is. Which one of those things is an object that does something? Hopefully you said dog. A dog is an object. Which one of those things describes the object? Well, cute, kawaii describes dog, right? It's a cute dog. It's a kawaii inu. And what does the dog do? That's the question we want to know. What does the thing do? That's how we find the verb. What does the thing do? The thing exists. Imasu, exists. This can be translated as a cute dog exists. It could also be translated as there is a cute dog. Imasu works as either exists or this there is pattern in English. Kawaii is what's called an E adjective. Inu is a noun / nominal, depending on what you want to call it. This is a particle, and this is the verb, imasu. Notice how it ends in mas. Hopefully you're able to see that right away. Verbs generally go at the end of the sentences / clauses. There are, of course, exceptions, but Japanese is an SOV language. No, I did not just curse at you. S stands for subject, O stands for object, V stands for verb. Sorry about this thing down here. I'm using Google Documents, and anytime I move the mouse, that pops up. Just ignore it if you can. Subject, object, verb. Notice in English, a dog exists. What comes first? Dog. What comes? Or actually, there should. Let's use a verb. Let's use a sentence that's an object in it. I eat chicken. I is the subject. I'm the one who does the eating. The verb is eat, and then the thing that I eat is the chicken. I eat chicken. So it's subject followed by verb followed by object. However, in Japanese, what we're going to say is 私がチキンを食べます. I eat chicken. 私が is the subject. Chikin o is the object, and tabemasu is the verb. You'll notice immediately that it's an SOV language, a subject-object-verb language, as opposed to English's SVO. Alright, let's continue on. Verbs number 1. Adjectives. This is just the exception to the rule about I just got done telling you that verbs can exist at the end of, will almost always end in end the sentence. However, here we have an example of a verb not ending a sentence. The subject noun is inu. The adjective is kawaii. Verb number 1 is tabete iru, is eating. And another verb which I didn't tab properly in my presentation is des, is. Tabete iru inu ga kawaii desu. You can use plain form verbs to modify directly a noun. This is an example of where a verb does not come at the end of a sentence. This will be explained a lot better later, but just be aware that it happens. These aren't two sentences. This is tabeteru inu ga kawaii desu. Tabeteru inu ga kawaii desu. Ii ne, kawaii ne. The dog that is eating is cute. Notice even in English we have two verbs. So the dog that is eating. When you modify a noun directly by a verb, we do this sort of a that thing in English. The dog that is eating is cute. Okay? Plain form verbs can be used to modify nouns, kind of like adjectives. This will be discussed in a later video, already told you that. And verbs number 1, the future. In future videos, I'll show you how to make verb conjugations. This video here is just to show you how verbs operate in Japanese. Okay? So this is just to give you a flavor of what verbs are. Yep. That's about it. That's about it for verbs right now. Check out Evan's Easy Japanese. Donations are more than welcome. And click around. Maybe you'll find some stuff that's worth watching and paying attention to. Have yourself an awesome day, dog.